Okay, so hi. Hi. Okay. I think you can hear me now. All right. This is a new formatting where I'm going to do a live stream. Don't expect anyone to watch it right now, but later. So I'm just gonna get started then. Whew. Chapter 16. Into the Darkness. The station manager, a robot named Anazon, would not come to see them, but agreed to a brief vid-call. "Is the care you are receiving satisfactory?" Amazon asked politely. "I hope that Hajim is seeing to your other needs." Derek did not waste any time on pleasantries. "Where's our ship? Where's O7B?" he demanded. "I regret, sir, that I am not permitted to tell you," the robot said without a hint of regret in his voice. "Who gave that order?" "I regret, sir, that I am not permitted to tell you that either." Derek was determined not to be thwarted. "Who is your supervisor? What's his name?" "My supervisor's name is Adam Jackson." "Get him on this channel. Mr. Jackson may not be available at this time. Do it. Use whatever priority you have to get him to answer, and keep the line open. I want to hear what you say." The robot reached forward for the hyperviewer controls. "This is Anazon, manager of Rockcliffe Station, requesting a conference with Mr. Jacobson," a voice said. "One moment," and there was a pause. "Yes, Anazon," a new voice said. The words were muddied by the faint electronic echo which was the telltale sign of a scrambler somewhere in the link. "What is it?" "Anazon called you on my behalf," Derek cut in. "Your robots have appropriated my ship. I expect you to order them to return it." "And our robot," Catherine added. "We want Capic back too." The hypervision image of Anazon faded, and was replaced an instant later by one of a round-faced man with narrow eyes and shiny black hair. In sharp contrast to the robot's slender physique, Jacobson's stout body was perched precariously on his executive chair, like an egg on a teaspoon. "Excuse me, by whom do I have the pleasure of being ordered about?" he asked with exaggerated politeness. "My name is Derek. This is just Derek. No last name, like a robot." "Don't be cute. You know all about me. I'm sure there's a file on me in your library." "I have many files in my library," Jacobson said. "I'm responsible for facilities which employ 2,600 humans and nearly 8,000 robots. Believe me when I tell you that neither your name nor your face are familiar to me." His gaze flicked toward Catherine. "And you, miss?" "Catherine Burgess, and don't call me miss." "My apologies if I insulted you," Jacobson said, bowing his head slightly. "Now if I could ask you to restate your complaint. This is most irregular, to have someone barge in on a private call. I'm afraid it rather distracted me." Derek was too furious for words, but Catherine took over smoothly. "We were found on a damaged spacecraft and brought here to Rockcliffe Station. Now the station manager refuses to allow us access to our ship." "Refuses you access?" Jacobson asked, wrinkling his forehead. "Whatever for?" "It won't tell us," Derek said. "It says it's been ordered not to tell us. My guess is by you." "I assure you not," Jacobson said, reaching for his computer. "If you'll just allow me a moment to check the records." He turned his back to them briefly. "Oh, yes, of course," he said to himself as he studied the screen. "Of course what?" Jacobson turned back to face them. "I do recall hearing about you after all, Derek. You're the amnesia case Dr. Gallen is studying. That explains a great deal. Not to me. But it does all the same. You see, the care you've been receiving is quite costly. Dr. Gallen said the bill will be charged against the station account." "I'm afraid Dr. Gallen made an error," Jacobson said. "That would be the case if you were indigent and unable to pay, or if the cost of your care exceeded the guarantee made by your home world on behalf of its citizens. But my case is different. Indeed, your citizenship is unknown, your financial assets are unknown. Indeed, there's even some question about your majority under spacer law," said Jacobson. "I'm old enough." "We have decided to presume so," he said. "But in any case, since you have not been able to supply us with identification, we have no choice but to seize your tangible personal assets in payment of your account." "My tangible assets? Your ship and its contents have been appraised generously, I assure you." Jacobson said, glancing back at his computer. Even so, there's not much left after subtracting the salvage fee and the expenses of the rescue operation. Still, there's more than enough to cover passage to the next one on the next shuttle and keep you fed in the meantime. Derek gasped disbelievingly. You can't do that. You can't just take everything a man owns. It's the judgment of the Minister of Finance that anyone who has assets enough to own a ship in the first place can quite afford to pay his bills, Jacobson said, sitting back in his chair. If we were to let you get away with this, I'd be overwhelmed by freeloaders, all claiming to have forgotten where their funds are held. Are you accusing of me making this up? Ask Dr. Gallen. Dr. Gallen does not set the policy for the station. I do. At least you finally admit that this is your doing, Derek retorted. I can't believe the nerve that charged me for rescuing me. We'd have gone out to intercept that ship whether we'd been on it or not. From our point of view, that ship wouldn't have been there endangering our facility unless you were in it, Jacobson said lightly. Just a moment, Catherine said. That ship is half mine. Maybe you can grab his half for payment, but you can't touch mine. And you know who I am. I authorized a draft on my account at the Oran Exchange. So you did, Jacobson said. Tell me, what sort of account was it? A living share, a family trust. Catherine's face was beginning to grow grey. Which is a revocable trust, is it not? I guess. I regret to inform you that on May 26th your account was closed and all funds withdrawn. Have you other assets of which we may not be aware? No, Catherine said, her expression acutely pained. That was my living share. How could they take it back? How could they do such a thing? I cannot say. The fact remains they did. You are legally an adult and responsible for your own debts. Therefore, we have been obliged to exercise our rights to your portion of the property as well. You won't get away with this, Derek threatened feebly. Not a question of getting away with anything, Jacobson replied. We are well within our rights. You should be grateful that you're alive instead of fussing over a ship which I understand is not in flyable condition in any case. Since you couldn't have paid for its repair, you'd have had to try to sell it anyway, and I doubt very much you could have gotten anything near the price you were paid by us. You, Derek sputtered. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have other business to attend to. The link dissolved before Derek could reply. Do you believe that performance? He exclaimed, turning to Catherine. He was shocked to see how empty of spirit her eyes were. Performance, she said mechanically. This isn't what it looks like. This is just a way of separating us from the ship. To pay us for they've had proof that we own it. More than our word and the fact they found us in it. Do you know why they're not asking for that proof? They don't want to know. Just like they don't want to know whether I'm too young to be responsible for my own debts. It doesn't matter, she said. None of it matters. Derek stared at her. What's bothering you? My money. My family took my money. Is there any great surprise? The patrol probably reported you missing when they went out and picked over what was left of the Golden Eagle. They didn't even give me a chance to explain, she said despairingly. Explain to who? He asked gently. But his question seemed to awaken her to her loss of control. The line of her jaw stiffened and her eyes hardened. Frost them. Frost them all, she said tersely. It's ancient history. What do we do now? What are you game for? I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to wait around quietly until the next freighter comes and then meekly trapeze off to Nexon, she declared. And I'm not about to let a bunch of robots keep me away from my property, even if they are following orders of that milk face. Sounds like I'm going to need to start calling you Kate. Surprised, she smiled. Maybe you'd better. Good, because I think we're going to need her, Derek said. This isn't going to be easy. I know, but there's a limit to how many places you can hide a ship of that size, even in a station this large. If it's still here, we'll find it. Probably so, Derek agreed. Chances are they moved it from the active dock to one of the deactivated ones. The military wing would be my guess. Even if the station director won't tell us where the other dock facilities are, we can figure it out. But that won't help us much. Why not? Because the key is what matters, not the ship. Jacobson is right. We don't have any other use for the ship. You find the ship, we find the key. Derek shook his head unhappily. The key won't be there. The robots have it. Jacobson didn't say anything about it. Why should he take the chance of being the first to call our attention to it? Derek asked rhetorically. I just know that the whole time we talked to him, he was sitting there waiting for us To ask about our personal effects or give some sign we know about the key. We didn't have pants if we did. It was a test. We passed, they're gonna let us go. If we hadn't, why should they take any special notice of the key? It doesn't look like anything special. They don't know what Aranimus went to get through to get it. I do, and I still don't know why it's so important. So you say. Do you think I'm lying? Yes, he thought, or at least not telling the whole truth. I'm starting to believe that everyone knows what this thing is but me, and you're pretending that you're just as ignorant as I am, while all the while you know exactly what it is and why it's important. But he said none of that. I don't know what to think, Derek said, frustration thick in his voice. I think the key is still hidden where Randomus kept it. Jacobson didn't mention the key because he doesn't know anything about it. He's just worried about the ship in general. He knows. I'm sure of it, Derek said stubbornly. Look, if Jacobson knows about the key and the robots have found it, then it went out on Ferris, which means he has it by now. End of story. Not necessarily, Derek said, shaking his head. The packets are contract haulers, not Nexonian nationals. Do you think he'd trust them with something that's probably 10 times more valuable than their whole fleet contract? For that matter, do you think he'd put it on an unarmed vessel of raiders still sitting out there, somewhere trying to figure out how to get it back? What then? Put yourself in their shoes. First you protect your farm from being disturbed, and then you get together a team to go retrieve and investigate it. As long as you've done the first one right, you can take your time doing the second. They'll be here when they've assembled the people and the hardware they need. At the very least, they'll need to scare up a bulk freighter to carry the spacecraft back, and a warship to give the raiders second thoughts. Catherine sighed. What a mess. Maybe we ought to just let them have it. The hell with that! Derek spat. As long as Uranus doesn't have the key and the raiders don't attack, and Jacobson is still the Nexon, we've got a chance. But it's a race. Yes, it's a race. And we can't wait around for you to get a clean bill of health from Dr. Gowan before we start, Darren said pointedly, bracing for an argument. The argument never came. You're right, she said simply, swinging her legs over the side of the bed and feeling for the floor. Where to? Before the question could be considered, there was Dr. Gowan to deal with. The robot came bursting into the room before Catherine's bare feet even had the chance to pick up a chill from the floor. Please, we're